Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast. I'm Nick. We have Harrison and Sean with us again tonight. How are we doing, fellas?
Awesome. What's up, boys?
Not a whole lot. Doing pretty well. We'll get into our yearly complaint about the Hall of Fame and how it's voted on in a second.
Wait, they actually vote on that? They don't just like randomly pick names?
I'm convinced they just pull names out of a hat at this point. But all right.
That'd make more sense.
It'd probably get better outcome too. But all right. Anyways, before we get going, make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can also subscribe on YouTube. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. All right. Leading off, here we go. The three inductees. And honestly, I'm going to preface this saying I don't have an issue with the three that got in. Adrian Beltre, no brainer. Joe Bauer, first ballot. If there's one I have an issue with, it might be this one being first ballot. And I have no issue with Todd Helton. I'm happy with these three getting in. I think they're deserving. Todd Helton in his day, man, that season he hit like 379 or something like that. Like he was unreal on the road, at home, whatever. I don't care if you're in Colorado or not. If you hit 379 in a season, you're doing something right. No issue with him. Obviously, Beltre, 3,000 hits, his career. It's going to be interesting to see who he goes in as. He might be one of the blank cap guys, or I'm thinking he goes in as a Ranger. Those are my two thoughts there.
He's probably best remembered as a Ranger.
Yeah. And then Joe Mauer. I mean, does Joe Mauer deserve to be in? I think so. He was dominant behind the plate, at the plate hitting. He was the best hitting catcher we had seen in a long, long time. Was it 2 batting titles, I believe?
3 batting titles. Three batting titles, 3 Gold Gloves, 6-time All-Star, 5 Silver Sluggers, and an MVP.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, but I'm surprised he got in first ballot. I'm going to be honest. But yeah, what are your thoughts on those three making it?
Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think they all deserve the Hall of Fame. I mean, I even think last year when we had our yearly dump on the Hall of Fame and we were looking at the guys that were coming up this year. I mean, we'll have to go back and listen, but I think all three of those guys, we said those guys should be it. Like those guys, whether it's, I think Helton had been eligible for a few years now, right?
Yeah.
And it's I think last year specifically we talked about him. It's like I think a guy like that again, home, away. I know it was Colorado. I know he was on a lot of bad teams, but he wasn't the problem. He had his guy, right? It wasn't on him. Beltre, I mean, it's the number 2. I mean, 3,000 hits is almost like it's an automatic, right? 3,000 hits is kind of an automatic into the Hall of Fame. So no question there. And Joe Mauer, and I'm a small Hall of Fame guy for every sport. And I think it's numbers, but it's also like if the other team has to kind of game plan around you, and you were the one that other players, other coaches, other front offices had to worry about every time you played them, then you're in that conversation. I don't think that's an automatic shoe-in, but it puts you in the conversation, and that was certainly Joe Mauer, right? So, yeah, no issues, no issues at all. I think in the sense of the guys that got in, I think they got it right in that sense.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Adrian Beltre is a no-brainer. There's nobody on this planet that can argue Adrian Beltre. It was awesome to see Helton finally go in, a guy that for years everybody wanted to talk about the Coors Field effect and what that does. And people would break down the splits and show the fact it made no difference really in his career stats and all that stuff. So good to see him go in there. I definitely think Mauer's a Hall of Famer. I'm with you, Nick. I don't think he's necessarily a first ballot guy, but when you look at Mauer, he is he's right around the top 10 all time in terms of catchers. When you look at his stats, you look at WAR, you look at what he did. And a lot of those guys have the WAR they have because of the defense they played. A catcher is not historically known as a big offensive position, and Mauer was an absolute threat at the plate. Did he hit a ton of home runs? No, but every single at bat, you knew he was going to hit the ball hard. and he's going to hit it somewhere. And you game planned around him. He sat in the middle of the order. You could not get the guy out. He wore out pitchers, and he wore out some of the best pitchers of that era. So I 100% agree. Joe Mauer is a Hall of Famer. First ballot, I'm fine with. I didn't expect him to get on the first ballot, but
yeah,
three guys. Sean said the three guys that got in, I definitely think they got it right. Those guys should be there. There's no obvious holes there. For me, and where you're going to go next is it's who didn't get in that I think bothers me more than anything.
This is where the complaint train's going to start. How Andruw Jones is not elected yet is mind-blowing to me. It's mind-boggling. I don't understand it. This guy, 400 plus home runs, 10 gold gloves, the best center fielder we had in Major League Baseball during that time. Yes, his career average was not very high. You know who else's career average was not very high? Bill Mazeroski, 260 batting average career. He's in the Hall of Fame. Did he have 400 plus home runs in his career? Also, no. This is absolutely 100% wrong. I hate this voting process. I don't understand it. And until the Hall of Fame figures this out, I'm done with the Hall of Fame. It's not worth it. Like, the more I see people argue about it online, the more upset I get about how much of a train wreck this is. And it shouldn't be. This should not be. Like, is there a gray line? Yes, there is, because not everybody's career is the same. But Andruw Jones there's guys in the Hall of Fame that was just there for their defense. Ozzie Smith, Brooks Robinson. I can go on and on. There are guys that are in the Hall of Fame strictly for defense. And this guy has offense and defensive numbers to back it up. And I think he's got, 256 runs saved in his career?
Yep.
It's 50
Something
more,
like that, yeah.
50 more than Willie Mays. I mean, get off it. Andruw Jones belongs in the Hall of Fame. How he's not elected is an absolute shame. He should be elected in his lifetime and not 75 years down the road when the writers are like, oh, we missed a guy. Or the Hall of Fame, sorry, not the writers. The Hall of Fame goes, oh, we missed a guy.
Yeah. What's shocking with Andruw Jones is that this is a guy that put up those numbers and after age 30 fell apart. He was out of baseball by 35. Andruw Jones, his age 30 season with Atlanta, he fell apart after that. And he played in those next 5 seasons, he played a total of 300 games. And then he was out of baseball. So really, when you think about it, he did all
in
that
10 years, 11 years.
Yeah. He did
Just
all of
crazy.
that in a 10-year span. Basically 10, because his first season up there, he was 19 years old and played 30 games. So really, you had a 10-season window where he did all of that.
Like, 97, essentially,
crazy.
97 to 07 is really kind of what it was.
It's crazy. That's all in a 10-year window. And I mean, if his career hadn't fallen off a cliff like it did, imagine the numbers he would have put up. It wouldn't even be a debate. But Andruw Jones, there's 4 guys in baseball history that have the 400 in the Gold Gloves, and the fact that he's not in the Hall of Fame when he's in that select company, and on top of that did in the 10-year window, and he was a guy that literally gets punished for how easy he made it look, because he played a crazy shallow center field, but he got to everything. Like, when you hit the ball in that pie slice in the center field area, you knew it was an out because he got to everything and he had a cannon. He absolutely changed the game. And to me, Joe Mauer's Hall of Famer, yes, but not before Andruw Jones.
Agree. I mean, I don't understand it. I don't get it.
And Andruw Jones isn't that close. He got 61% of the vote, but he was still 53 votes shy of getting the 75% he needed. There's no way that there's really that many writers that don't think he belongs. And if they don't think he belongs, I'd love to hear an argument for why, because I have yet to hear a single argument of anybody saying he doesn't belong. Just a whole bunch of arguments about why he does belong.
I mean, I literally got nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I the whole process, I don't like the whole process. I mean, it's writers that vote. Like, to me, like, should it not be the people that you competed against? Like, aren't those the opinions that should carry the most amount of weight? the people that played against you, the people that coached against you, the people that game planned against you, the people you played with. Like, I would love, I have no idea, but I'd be willing to bet a hefty amount of money that his teammates and his competitors, he would blow that 75% mark out of the water.
For sure.
Out of the water. Like, you ask the Chipper Jones, you ask, the guys that he played with in Atlanta, you ask the guys that played against him, the guys in his division that they were losing division titles to, and Andruw Jones was a big part of that. You ask guys like Bobby Cox, who can tell you that the reason that team was so steady and the reason why that team did so well year after year is because guys like Andruw Jones were there night in and night out. Like, you ask guys like that, to me, those opinions matter a whole lot more than the writers. Not to say that these writers don't know what they're talking about, because, I mean, they're baseball lifers, these writers. But it's when everybody has an agenda, then you just start to question it. Like, why don't we just go to the heart of the matter? Why don't we just go to the people who were on the field with him, competing against him? I don't know. I don't know.
I think that's where the NFL has it right, because they have like former players and stuff in a panel, and they go in a room and they literally just hash it out. And it's like, all right, here we go. Barry Sanders, in or not? Okay, yeah, he played, short career, but I mean, he just ran over everybody. Okay, he's in. Like, they hash it out. That's how it should be. It shouldn't be, Nick Arno from Raleigh, North Carolina puts Andruw Jones on the vote, on the ballot, and then Sean Bogue from Massachusetts had a run-in with him, doesn't like him, and just leaves him off. That's not how this process should work.
No, and just to give you an idea of Andruw Jones, I mean, yeah, 254 lifetime batting average. Get it? Not a great jump off the charts batting average. But listen to this: his 162 game average, he was good for 32 home runs, 95 RBIs, 129 strikeouts, 66 walks, and a 254 batting average. 129 walks in today's game, that would be average. Like, this was not a guy that was going up there and just hacking and striking out. He did strike out a lot. He put the ball in play a lot. And sometimes they just don't fall in. And I would love to see somebody publish a stat, and I can't find it, of what his batting average on balls in play is. Because I bet what you're going to find is that he had a very low batting average on balls in play because he had a ton of fly balls. A lot of fly balls, a lot of line drives. Outfielders catch those. So it's not that he's up there. He's not Kyle Schwarber striking out 225 times a season. This is the guy that put the ball in play a lot. They just don't always fall in, and didn't hit for a super high average. Like, it wasn't that he was just up there striking out. He was having productive at bats. He was hitting home runs, playing top notch defense. There's very few players that would make me this frustrated to see not get into the Hall of Fame, but he is absolutely one of them because he redefined that position.
Yeah.
And he's a generational talent.
Mm-hmm. And Ken makes a good point. Mazeroski had 2 World Series titles and 5 more All-Star appearances. I get it. And it was a different era back then. I understand. But the utter dominance during that span, doesn't make up for it. Okay, he didn't have the All-Star appearances, but he had 10 Gold Gloves. He had 400 plus home runs. Like you said, 3 other guys have done that in their career.
Yeah, I mean, and Mazeroski played 17 years, largely full seasons. Andruw Jones played 17 years. 6 of them were short seasons. But you look at Mazeroski individually, a 36.6 career WAR, 260 batting average, 138 home runs. You got Andruw Jones, a career 62.7 WAR, 434 home runs, 254 batting average. Like, Mazeroski statistically was a average player. He was a slightly better than average player, but he played a long time. Yeah. And he, a lot of full seasons, a lot more games than Andruw Jones played.
Yeah. I think Andruw Jones is more of a slam dunk than Fred McGriff, Harold Baines. Yeah. Those guys are very borderline to me. And I would take Andruw Jones over both of them. I hate that it comes to the year-to-year voting where it's okay, well, who are talking war good night against us? But I hate how it changes so much from year to year. I get that people are eligible a different year. Next year, it's Ichiro, it's King Felix, it's those guys that are going to come in and they take some of the vote. but there's no limit on how many people you vote, right?
No, you can vote. You could literally vote for the entire ballot.
Right. So like, I don't understand omitting Andruw Jones off the ballot to get in. It blows my mind. And until they fix it, I'm out. I can't do the Baseball Hall of Fame. I can't. It's an absolute crock of shit, is what it is.
I mean, it is. It is. I mean, Andruw Jones, Mazeroski's got the World Series titles. Great. That's a team thing. Andruw Jones, that team wasn't built to win the World Series. But when you line this guy up against most of the guys that are in the Hall of Fame in the outfield, he is better than probably 3/4 of them. And he's just not getting consideration.
And even during his era, he was one of the most dominant center fielders. So Mazeroski, to Ken's point, could have been the most dominant second baseman for his era. Like, we're not putting Andruw Jones up against Willie Mays. We're putting Andruw Jones up against the other center fielders that were playing during his time. That's what it is. He was elite. And I don't understand it. I just don't.
Yeah. And what I find interesting in all this. So Gary Sheffield actually picked up more votes than Andruw Jones, which stunned me.
Crazy. Go ahead, Sean.
No, I was just gonna say, and I can't talk for anybody else, but for me, I hate when it turns into this back and forth when we start to bring other players in, particularly from other eras, because I would never try to make the argument that Andruw Jones belongs in, but Bill Mazeroski doesn't. Mazeroski is the comparison because the batting average number, right? Like, because really the only number statistically in the career of Andruw Jones that you look at and go is the career batting average, right? You don't look and say he didn't drive in enough runs. You don't look and say that he didn't hit enough home runs. You don't look and say he wasn't, elite defensively, because all those things are true. It's the batting average. The batting average is not a great number. So that's where I think the Bill Mazeroski comp comes in, because he's right there with him. One's 254, the other one's 260. It's like, so I think that's where the Mazeroski comp comes in. Right. And I individually am certainly not saying that Andruw Jones belongs in and Mazeroski doesn't, but it's just the comp. And if you're going to overlook one guy for having a average batting average, but because of all the other things he did, he was elite. He was probably the best second baseman of the time. He was probably dominant. He was probably the guy that other teams were worried about every time Pittsburgh came. That's all well and good. So he deserves to be in, which I think goes to the point of what I'm saying, which is what makes Andruw Jones belong in the Hall of Fame, right? Yep. So it's not to say the other guy belongs out. It's more of it proves that Andruw Jones should be in.
Right. Yeah. If this guy's in there, why isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's not to say he doesn't belong, because he probably does belong. I mean, I didn't get to watch him play, but
yeah, and it has to do with generation and era, right? The game has changed and the measuring stick has changed, and then all the conversation is that based on where he sits, he's likely to get in next year. Okay, great, but like he should be in already. Like it's like being a Red Sox saying, "Oh, we'll get him next year." You don't want to have to continue to wait till next year. Like, why doesn't it just happen already?
Yeah, and there's some guys coming in next year that are first ballot Hall of Famers.
Yeah, there's a stacked class coming in.
So it's just, I mean, Ichiro might be our next unanimous MVP, Hall of Fame inductee. If not, he should be.
Yeah. So the guys that didn't make it in this year that are close, Billy Wagner is at 73.8% of the vote.
Crazy close.
Like 6 votes and he's in. Gary Sheffield, this is his last year on the ballot. He was at 63.9. He falls off the ballot now. And he goes into that baseball purgatory or Hall of Fame purgatory where some committee's got to bring him in. Andruw Jones got his 61.6%. He's likely to get in next year. Beltran got 57.1%. People think he's got a shot to get in. And then nobody else got more than 50%. A-Rod's at 34, Manny's at 32, and a bunch of other guys underneath that. So of the group that didn't make it, it looks like Wagner, Jones, and Beltran are likely to be in the next wave. But to your point, Nick, that ballot coming up next year is loaded.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. But like I said, I don't know how. I'm sitting here saying they need to fix it. Me personally, I don't know how they fix it.
You can't let the writers vote. At some point, you got to take it away. You got to give it to people that know what they're looking at.
And maybe you just literally give it to the Hall of Fame committee. like just straight to the Hall of Fame committee, and they choose, because what they're doing right now is not working, and I'm just done with it. So, yeah. Anything else on that before we move into free agent stuff?
No, I hope Billy Wagner gets in next year.
I think he will. I mean,
I hope
that
so.
dude was
I hope so. I know he was
crazy
close,
dominant.
but he was crazy dominant, and the numbers for relievers that are in the Hall of Fame, he stacks up.
Yeah,
like he stacks up. He stacks up with the saves. He stacks up with the strikeouts. He stacks up in all the areas you want for dominant relievers. I mean, he stacks up with all of them. So I hope he gets in. I hope Andruw Jones gets in next year. I hope Billy Wagner gets in next year. I mean, we'll see in about a year, but I hope they both make it in.
I would have loved to have seen Billy Wagner pitch live, like this 5'8" guy coming out of the bullpen, being like, "Who's that small guy on them?" And just throwing absolute seeds. Yeah, Bayou. I was just like, man, crazy. But
I would honestly like to see, and just talking about how to fix it, I would actually love to see them do. I would love to see them make the writers begin to justify their votes. So I would love to say, okay, if this guy got more than 50% of the vote or 60% of the vote or fell a few votes shy, you guys that didn't vote for him, why not? I'd love to see the writers answer that question. Because like I look at like these ridiculous situations of Derek Jeter is one vote shy of being unanimous. The one guy that didn't vote for him, why didn't you? And if your reason is just that, well, geez, I don't want to be unanimous, well, you should yank his credential. You don't get to vote anymore. Because now it's a personal thing. It's not about baseball. Ken Griffey Jr. gets all but 3 votes. Why didn't you vote for him? I mean, they need to start taking credentials away from these guys, because a lot of these guys are not voting based on what they saw, what happened on the field. They're voting based on the fact that guy was mean to me. He didn't answer my questions. One time in Cincinnati in the rain, he told me to F off. Well, too bad, Buttercup. You need to suck it up. You can't hold that against these guys.
It's
and you've heard writers say it. Like, I don't like him. Well, I don't care if you like him or not. Is he a Hall of Famer? It's not about your personal feelings.
Yeah. It's almost like they got like a whole bunch of junk mail in their mailbox, and they just like overlooked it, and they're like, oh crap, here's the ballot. Oh, this is due today. Check, and then just throw it in. Like, like it's dumb.
I would love to hear just somebody come out and defend why they didn't vote for Andruw Jones. Just give me if you can make an argument, I'll listen. I just don't see one, and I've yet to hear one.
A baseball reason, though. A baseball.
Yeah,
reason.
exactly. Yeah, sorry.
Right.
A baseball.
Like, because then you get into the crazy. I know he has an arrest on his record, right? And I know, obviously, that's not a great thing. I don't advocate people getting arrested or domestic abuse or anything like that. But if you start to hold it against one guy, well, then now this is where, like, you start looking at, look at all these senators, look at their vote record, right? Like, if you're going to start holding it against Andruw Jones, now we're going to go back and look at all the guys you did vote for that also have similar things on their record. So, like, it doesn't add up. Like, give me a baseball reason. Yeah. Right? If there's a baseball reason, let's have a conversation about the baseball reason. But I don't really see any baseball reason why he's not in.
No.
Yeah. 1,000%. All right. Enough of that Hall of Fame talk, because like I said, I am completely over it. So we're going to go over some free agency news. Still waiting on our big ones. We'll get to them later. But Jock Peterson to the Diamondbacks with a mutual option for 2025. So Jock and the Diamondbacks could both decide for him to come back to 2025, depending on how his year this year goes. I love this signing for the Diamondbacks. Another thumper in that lineup with all those on-base guys. This makes the Diamondbacks pretty dang solid. Even more so than I thought. I thought they were in decent shape already. And this kind of solidifies that lineup even more, I believe.
Yeah, I love it.
So,
they need bats.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they needed a veteran locker room guy. I mean, this is a team that lost the World Series, right? You worry about the hangover. You worry about them kind of, coming in, starting off slow. I mean, this is a guy that's been there. This is a guy that was in LA, made deep playoff runs, veteran, kind of a steady guy. Strikes out quite a bit, but, in today's game, you don't really worry about that too much. I think all around, I think it's a good move.
Yeah. Rhys Hoskins to the Brewers. So this is important because it now ties me and Harrison 4-4 in the free agent guest pool here. So I chose Rhys Hoskins to the Brewers. I think this is a great fit for the Brewers. Now, I know Rhys Hoskins was out with the ACL last year, but he's a 27 home run guy if he stays healthy. And this gives the Brewers a really good bat in the middle of that lineup too. So definitely helps the Brewers in that NL Central that I think is kind of up for grabs, really. It could be anyone's division.
Yeah,
So.
I like the Cubs again in that division, but I mean, long way to go in the offseason. It's still end of January.
Yeah.
But yeah, and this is a guy was poised to be a big bat in the middle of that really good Philadelphia lineup, and then he gets hurt, and then he kind of loses the job. And, he's going to come back, I think, with a little bit of vengeance. It's always good to have a guy like that feels like he's got something to prove. He's not cashing in on a big ticket and just cashing in on last year's success or anything like that, right? Like, he's going to come back with a vengeance. He feels like he's got something to prove. Never hurts to have a guy like that.
Right.
No, and I honestly, I really thought he was going to have to go to a lower level team and take a 1 year kind of prove it contract because, the injury obviously is a concern and he's not coming off like a great season in 22. I mean, he had a good season in 22. The batting average continued to kind of struggle a little bit, but he had those two kind of teaser seasons, like 21. He missed a big chunk with injury. He had a decent season in 22, obviously misses 23. So a lot of people kind of wondering what he is, but that's a good contract for him. I didn't think there'd be that kind of money out there for him. I thought it'd be a lower contract with maybe more incentives and you have to go somewhere else and prove it for a year. But the Brewers definitely need the help because they could not do nothing and expect to get through this offseason. That pitching staff is slightly dismantled. That offense is still questionable. It's a good move for them. And if he goes back to being the player he was before the injury, then that's a nice little addition.
Yeah. This one is interesting to me. The report came out that there are no official offers on the table for Cody Bellinger right now as we speak. Is this a lot of teams thinking that last year was a fluke and that Cody Bellinger is the Cody Bellinger of the last 2 years in LA?
Yes. It's from what I read, the discussions around the league, and I'm trying to find the article. Here it is. Basically, every front office is expecting him to regress. He's not. They don't think he's the player he was last year. Boris is looking for the $200 million contract, and teams are basically right now just saying nope. Like we'll do something, but it's going to have an early opt out because we don't believe that we're going to get that kind of production. So most people are saying no. We think he's the player he was the last couple of years. Last year, not so much. You're trying to weight this whole thing on a rebound season. And the general consensus around baseball is that nobody's going to pony up what Boris is saying he is going to take.
It's interesting because I don't know at this point where he fits. Like, what does he do?
So as of yesterday, the only team that dialogues are continuing with is the Cubs. And basically Jed Hoyer is saying, I'm not paying that. Just not. We love him. We'd love to have him back. We're not going to get that kind of season out of a game. We're not paying him what you want. We'll offer him something, but it's not going to be that. And at this point, other teams have stepped back because they just don't want to pay that. They don't want to pay that contract. And it's really Jed Hoyer and Scott Boras that are in kind of this stare down right now. It's figuring out who's going to give first. But we're 2 weeks from spring training, and Bellinger has yet to actually receive an offer. There's just been phone calls back and forth.
Crazy.
I mean, I get it. That's a lot of money for a guy who has had one good rebound season, but you're going to have to do something. Maybe you sign him to a 5-year deal and there's an opt out at the end of the first or second year, or the money's back end loaded or something. Like, figure something out. But I'm shocked that he's still sitting there with no offers in hand and nowhere to go. Because the dude is still what? Is he mid-20s?
Yep.
20. He's 28.
28. Yeah.
This is not a guy in his 30s. This is still a guy he's not even in his prime technically, or just coming into it. It's a good window to take a shot.
Yeah. It's where like almost the first 2 or 3 years of his career when he was putting up the 50 home runs, like hurts him
It does.
right? Because the teams are expecting that value, and they're just not going to get it out of him right now.
So. Yeah, and last year he didn't even hit 30 home runs,
right.
but like high average home runs, RBIs, like he brought you everything.
Yeah,
which he really
big
hadn't been doing before.
I mean, he seemed to really come through big for the Cubs.
Absolutely,
too.
Yeah, he did everything last year.
Yeah. The Rangers add an arm to their bullpen, David Robertson, who is on his 50th MLB franchise now at this point.
Seems
signs for 1 year, $11.5 million. Finally, the Rangers starting to get some bullpen help. Maybe I mean, we saw them in the World Series. Yes, they won the World Series despite their bullpen. But I mean, it's a good arm to have there. Chapman's gone, so he kind of takes that spot, thankfully. But it'll be interesting to see what the Rangers do, because there's still some bullpen arms out there to be had. So we'll see if they make any more moves. But sure, bullpen move there.
I'm putting a link here in the chat for everybody that talks about that model and how they're expecting him to play next year. And the biggest thing is that his batted ball metrics, the balls in play, he was like astronomically high. Yeah. And the belief is that was a fluke. Even if he just goes out and does the exact same thing next year, he won't get the kind of lucky bounces he got this year.
That's baseball.
It really is.
So the Dodgers sign another starting pitcher. James Paxton goes to the Dodgers, 1 year, $11 million with incentives. So I think these are injury incentives or games played incentives, something like that. Yep. But I think, again, like, I freaking hate this because it's the Dodgers, but this is a great move for them. Gives them a lefty starter. He could be long relief if you need to. If Walker Buehler comes back and does well, Shelby Miller gives you what you need. It's
a shame the Red Sox couldn't afford a 1 year, $11 million contract.
I can't get into Boston today. I don't have it.
Well, they don't sign free agents. They made that clear.
Yeah, I'm just about as done with them as I am the Hall of Fame. So, all right, Joey Gallo.
Can't wait for my Rockies this year, boys.
That's right. Let's go. Joey Gallo to the Nationals, 1 year, $5 million. So I think this is a good move for the Nationals. This is a bargain deal off the scrap heap. He's gonna give you some pop, and Joey Gallo showed that he still has it. He just couldn't play in New York.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Well, the nice thing is too is that younger team, not super high expectations. You can just kind of go in there, be one of the guys. Plays that Gold Glove defense you love so much, Nick. And gives them some depth. And yeah. I think he'll do well down there because there's no pressure. That nobody expects him to win.
Right. The Royals add another veteran, Adam Frazier. So the Royals continue to make off-season moves.
I might be a Royals fan this year, boys. I don't know.
I'm probably going to tune into some games here because that AL Central is definitely up for grabs. I don't know who I'm going to pick as the division winner out of that Central. I'm going to be completely honest. No clue.
I might go baby blue this year and pick the Royals.
Got to at this point. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, he's not a big needle mover for me, but it's a veteran. He's been around. He knows what it takes. It's going to be good for the Royals.
Well, and the Royals are doing a good job of assembling a team now with some good depth, veterans mixing in with the young guys. Like I think they're starting to figure out a formula that might work for them that allows them to compete on a budget and maximize their young players. Because I think the moves they've made, none of them are jaw dropping. Like, oh my goodness, jump off the page. They're going to change that team. But when you put them all together, you're like, wow, it's a pretty good roster.
Yeah, I agree. Going back to the Cubs real quick, they end up signing Hector Neris for 1 year, $9 million. I mean, again, I think this is a great bargain deal too. Yeah, a guy that brings it out of the bullpen. It solidifies that Cubs team. So maybe we will see them kind of rise to the top there in the NL Central. But
yeah, I had him last year. I thought Dansby Swanson, and he did play well for them, and I thought he was a big reason why they ended up kind of making that move down the stretch. I mean, he was just a steady Eddie guy for them. I think I might have been a year too early, but I'm in on the Cubs this year for the NL Central. Like I'm in on the Cubs. I think they're going to pick up where they left off last year. They had some nice pieces. Neris is a sneaky good guy to have. Like he's a sneaky good guy. Gets a lot of swings and misses, which coming out of your bullpen is what you want. You want guys that force a lot of swings and misses. So, I'm in on the Cubbies.
I like it.
All right. Yep. All right. Just happened today. Aaron Hicks goes to the Angels. So this is a story for me because now Adam Duvall could possibly come back to the Sox because reports out there was Adam Duvall was between the Red Sox and the Angels. So with Aaron Hicks kind of taking that roster spot, it leaves Duvall to be kind of like, well, maybe he does end up back with the Red Sox here. I did also read the story that if Duvall falls through, Garrett Cooper could also be a backup for the Sox there. So, I mean, again, is it a big splash?
Do any of these guys pitch? No. No, we're going to keep avoiding the pitchers. I see.
Yeah, we don't need pitching. We're fine. I would love to see Adam Duvall have a full season in Boston. The way he came out at the beginning of last year, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
He looked like the MVP.
And then what was it? Week 2, after hitting the 10 home runs in a week, he lays out and breaks his wrist. It's like, yeah, it's tough. It's tough luck. It's just tough.
Well, it's the story of his career, though. It's always been this fluky stuff that's knocked him out.
Yeah. But when he's healthy, he puts up 30 and 100.
He's good.
Yeah. So I would love to have the Red Sox take a flyer and bring him back. But we'll see what happens. So we'll talk. We'll reconvene next week when they don't sign anybody, and I'm mad about it.
Well, and to touch on Hicks, I mean, once he got out of New York, he was a totally different guy.
Yeah.
Totally different guy. I mean, I was one of the people saying I think the guy's washed. Like he looks slow. He can't catch up to anything. And the minute he got out of New York, completely new guy. And I think there's something to be said. New York, it wears on you. It really does. And there's a certain player that plays well there. But once he got out of there, he showed he's still that guy. Good pickup for the Angels. Not a lot of money. Good addition. I mean, that team's not going anywhere, but he'll put up some numbers for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then news just came in like right before we hopped on that Jorge Polanco was dealt to the Mariners. I don't have the exact details on that. But I mean, that's kind of big because they just lost, who was that young guy they just sent away? Caballero.
Yep.
They just sent somewhere, but so that puts a second base hole for Polanco. So I think that's perfect for the Mariners. So They needed it. They got him.
It's a good
I don't know who they traded away, but just helps the Mariners there. So, all right. That's all I have for free agency stuff. Like I said, we'll get to the big names towards the end of the show. But now we got some blurred trivia action, which is
so real quick, Nick, on Polanco.
Oh, go ahead.
It was 4 minor leaguers.
Okay. 4
minor leaguers. Let's see. Right-handed pitchers Justin Topa, Anthony DeSclafani, outfield prospect Gabriel Gonzalez, and pitching prospect Darren Bowen. They're all
DeSclafani was not. He's not a minor leaguer.
Yeah, I feel like he's been on like 9 teams too.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. So Topa and DeSclafani were off the major league roster. Gonzalez and Darren Bowen are minor leaguers, but those two guys have limited major league experience. That's what it was.
Gotcha. Yeah, DeSclafani pitched for the Giants, I think, last year. So, yeah, and he pitched for the Reds for a while there too. But all right, we're going to move on to our blurred trivia segment, which has been kind of fun the last month. I know we've been putting them out on our reels, and people have had a good time trying to guess who the players are. So here we go. This first one played from 1987 to 2000 with St. Louis, the White Sox, the Mets, the Cubs, and the Yankees. One-time All-Star, bats left and throws left, and he's a center fielder. I watched this guy a lot in the White Sox era with Frank Thomas, Robin Ventura, Ozzie Guillen, all of those guys. He was their center fielder during that time. A really tiny, like slap hitter from the left side.
Say it looks like Ray
Who is
Durham, but
this? It's not Ray Durham.
scroll back up real quick. I missed the first part. St. Louis White Sox, Cubs, one time. Okay, center fielder. Boy,
Starting off tough.
I know. It's the one-time All-Star stuff that kills me. It's like, okay, this is a guy that I've probably just not seen that often.
So this is Lance Johnson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sean's like, nope, didn't exist.
No
Not a real
clue.
player.
Yeah,
Not a real person.
Not a real person. All right.
I do. Yeah, I vaguely remember him.
Yeah,
Kind of a speedster.
yeah, absolutely. All right, next one. Played from 2013 to 2016 with the Royals. 2015 World Series starting pitcher. Who is this?
Octavio Dotel.
No.
On the 15 World Series team.
Only pitched for 3 years.
Was he on the playoff roster?
Yes, he was probably their ace at the time. And unfortunately passed away in a car accident in the Dominican Republic.
Oh. Is it Edwin something, right?
No.
No.
Oh yeah. Jeez.
Hit me.
This is Giordano Ventura.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is another one of those pitchers
Good
that
one,
was
yeah.
unfortunately taken from us because he had some electric stuff.
He did. He was so good.
Yeah. So, okay. Played from 1990 to 2002 with Detroit and Cleveland. 5-time All-Star, Gold Glove, Silver Slugger, third base, and shortstop. Who is this?
Cleveland. Fryman?
It is. Nice job,
Whoa.
Harrison. Travis Fryman. Yes, Travis Fryman. Good one.
I remember him mostly with the Indians, but
Yeah. All right, next one. Played from 1999 to 2010 with the Reds, Royals, and Cardinals. 8.9 WAR, 96 home runs, 231 average, so not that great. But he was a catcher. I remember him mostly with the Reds here, which he spent most of his career, pretty sure. This might be a little on the tougher side, too.
Jesus. I'm not going to be able to walk after this one, Nick. Good Lord.
oh boy, he looks familiar. The trot.
Shaking it up the hoop.
You can thank my wife for these ones because she's given me the random years with the random teams, so you can thank her.
Thanks, Karen.
Yeah, appreciate it.
This is Jason LaRue.
Oh, yep.
Oh, Jason LaRue. I know the name.
Yeah.
That
I'm
one I
looking
know
at the
he
picture. I'm
existed.
looking at the blurred picture and I
know that he
recognize him, but I
existed.
cannot think of who it is.
Yep, Jason LaRue.
He hit
Another one of
100
those
home
guys
runs.
who was good, but not great.
Yeah.
He hit 100 home runs. Wow.
Yeah. All right. Played from 1997 to 1998 and then 2000 to 2007 with Oakland,
Oh, I know this
with
one.
Cubs, Colorado, Boston, Yankees, Padres, and Reds. 69 career home runs, 230 batting average, and he either had a walk, a home run, or a strikeout. Second base, third base, and first base. Who
that's actually not what I
is
was thinking of.
this?
Do you have it?
No, I was thinking of somebody else, and then I
Is
read
it
down to
Bellhorn?
the bottom of the slide, and that's
It
not.
is. It's
Yeah,
Mark Bellhorn.
Bellhorn. Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
I was
initially, my
totally
eyes-
waiting for you, Sean.
my-
I'm like, Sean owns this one. He's got it.
Well, so my eyes initially went to either a strikeout or a home run, and I was like, oh, Willie Mo Pena, but he didn't play the infield. So it wasn't Willie Mo Pena. So when I read further down, I was like, oh no, it's not Willie Mo.
No.
Willie
Mark
Mo
Bellhorn.
Pena. My God, that was an experience having that guy around.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Played from 1999 to 2012 with Arizona, Texas, Phillies, Toronto, Mets, Dodgers, and Pirates.
Wow.
136 home runs, and he's a catcher. Who is this?
That's a big finish. Is it one of the Molinas?
Nope, not one of the Molinas.
Go back one for me. Arizona, Texas, Philly, Toronto, New York, LA, Pittsburgh. And these are in order, right? So like he would have been Pittsburgh in 2012.
Yep.
These are in order.
7 teams in 13 years. That's a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Ramon Hernandez?
Nope. This is.
Is he a Latin guy?
Yes.
Oh,
Rod
Barras. Yeah. I remember
God
Barras.
Yeah. All these names, you're like, oh my goodness, I remember him. But yeah, Rod Barras.
Most of them.
Most of them. Yeah. Sorry.
Lane, whatever didn't exist, but the other ones I know.
Lance Johnson, my bad.
Lance. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Played from 2006 to 2017 with the Dodgers. 2-time All-Star, Gold Glove, Silver Slugger, outfielder. Who is this?
Is that
Matt
Ethier?
Kemp.
Andre Ethier. Yes,
call.
Matt Kemp played for the Padres, I think, towards the end of his career.
Yeah,
He did,
right,
yeah.
He did. Yeah, you're right. He
Yep.
did.
Andre Ethier. Nice. Okay. Played from 2001 to 2016 with Colorado, the White Sox, Giants, Dodgers, Atlanta, Mets, and Cleveland.
Boy.
2 World Series appearances, 199 career home runs, second base, shortstop, and third baseman. Who is this?
Oh.
Juan Uribe.
Yeah.
That a boy.
Nice. Juan Uribe. There we go. He's
Sean
on the
checked in.
board.
I love it.
That's it, baby. Here we go.
He's on the board. Played from 1989 to 1999 with Minnesota, Cleveland,
out.
Seattle, and Tampa. 166 home runs, 257 batting average, first base and left field. Who is this?
Oh. Oh.
Come on. He was in the middle of some pretty good
I
Indians
know.
teams too.
Oh God.
This is
before Tommy, it was
yeah. Who was it?
oh God, I cannot. I'm
This
blanking on it.
is Paul Sorrento.
Oh God, yep.
Yeah.
He looks like a Paul.
He looks like
Totally.
a Paul.
He does.
Yeah. All right. Played from 2004 to 2012, then 2004 to 2015 with the Brewers, Seattle, and Pittsburgh. 2-time All-Star, 162 home runs, right field and first base. Who is this?
Richie Sexton.
No.
Is it
Not Richie
Gomes?
Sexton. Not
No,
Gomes.
not
That looks like a Richie Sexton finish.
It does.
This guy looks
It's
he's 9
so-
feet tall.
So, no joke, he is like Richie Sexton Jr.
Yep. And I
Like
can't
when
think of
he
his name.
came up, everybody like compared him to Richie Sexton.
It's like, isn't it like Axelson or Anderson or something like that? He's got a funny. Is it an A last name?
No, it's not that.
Okay.
This is Corey Hart.
Oh yes, Corey Hart.
Yeah, Corey
Yep.
Hart. Yeah.
Yeah, but he does. He has that
Yeah,
same
totally.
exact build as
Yeah.
Richie Sexton for sure.
Yep.
All right. Played from 2001 to 2002, then 2004. So
That's
short
it?
career with San Diego and Boston. Negative 1.1 WAR, 4 home runs, 192 batting average. Second base, shortstop, and outfield.
Why would we remember this guy?
You will know this name because I have him in a Boston uniform. Who is this?
He looks ripped.
That's just the blur.
Okay. What were the years again? 04. So he was on the 04 Red Sox team?
He was indeed.
like the final, like the World Series roster?
I believe so. He might not have made the postseason roster, but he was on the team.
But he wasn't a guy, like we didn't trade him at the deadline.
No.
Wow.
I don't know.
Stumped him with a Red Sox one. Let's go.
With a negative WAR.
Yep. This is Cesar Crespo.
Oh, good Lord. Nope. Do not remember him at all.
You don't remember
I
him?
don't.
Wow.
I don't remember him at all. I love the dip container in his back pocket though.
Yeah, absolutely. And the honker he's got in his lips. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I remember used to laugh at the name. That's a hilarious name. And I used to laugh at the name. I remember nothing about him as a player.
I remember.
No.
Yeah, I do not remember him at all.
Why do you have a Cesar Crespo jersey?
It's just because I do.
Wait, you have a jersey?
No.
Yeah, that's what you.
I was going to say, please tell me you don't actually have a jersey.
Oh,
No.
I
Good
fell for
Lord.
it. Hook, line, sinker. I thought you had one.
I was like, come on.
No.
I know you have some obscure stuff, Nick, but that was bizarre.
Yeah,
No.
I believed it.
Yeah.
All right.
That tracks.
All right. Played from 2010 to 2020 with the Yankees, the Pirates, the White Sox, and the Tigers. 11.6 WAR, 90 and 77 win-loss record, 4.38 ERA, and he's a pitcher, obviously. Who is this?
Oh, the high slot. Mendoza?
No, not Mendoza.
Flip back up real quick. 2010, 2020, Yankees, Pirates, White Sox. Okay.
I'm out.
This is Ivan Nova.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. Ivan Nova. All right.
I never would have got Ivan Nova.
No, I never would have guessed him, but I remember him.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. This one's the layup. Played from 2006, 2017, 2019 with Colorado, Toronto, and the Yankees. 5-time All-Star, 2-time Gold Glove, 2-time Silver Slugger, and shortstop. Who is this?
Too low. Okay, that's fine.
I say, do we even justify this with an answer?
Yeah,
If you don't know
That
this one, you should stop
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah.
Troy Tulowitzki. Yes. All right. Played from 97 to 2010 with the Pirates, Tampa, Arizona, Reds, Oakland, Anaheim, Washington, Seattle, Royals, and the Giants.
Where didn't he play? I mean, my Lord.
How come
Boston.
sometimes you have the city and then sometimes you have the team name?
Because I was too lazy to type out Cincinnati. And
Just
and
curious.
then
I didn't know if there was a reason behind it.
well,
I didn't
With
know-
Oakland
I
instead
didn't
of A's?
so with I don't know, I just got into it. But usually it's like with the Mets and the Yankees because they're two New Yorks.
Sure.
I'll
You
go
know,
with
that part makes sense.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if there was something behind it, like, I don't know. I was trying to find some sort of connection, but there's no connection to be had.
No, it's just how I typed it
Okay.
in.
No, it's
You're
fine. No worries.
You're welcome.
No
You're
worries.
welcome.
Thank you.
214 career home runs, 270 batting average, and a right fielder. Who is this?
Guillen?
Yes.
Jose Guillen?
Nice.
Hmm.
Jose Guillen. Nice job. Good one.
It's funny
Okay.
how like some of these guys just like jump out at you. Others are like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
no clue. Played from 2002 to 2012 with Toronto, Arizona, Dodgers, Twins, Padres, and White Sox. 2-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glove, 30.9 WAR. Played second base. Who is this?
I feel like I should know this one.
I know I'm feeling the same way. Like
Like,
Yep.
I feel like I should know this
I
one.
feel really dumb right now.
I think you guys would definitely get this one.
Go back up real quick. Troy, Arizona. Okay. Boy.
Your family vacations here quite a bit, Harrison.
Disney?
Yes, but where is Disney?
Florida?
It,
Oh, is
Orlando.
this Orlando Hudson?
Orlando Hudson.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, Orlando.
Disney.
Yes.
Like
Disney
I
Hudson.
don't know a guy that goes by Disney, but okay.
Disney Hudson. My goodness. All right. Play from
Did we just get a
2000.
little snort out of Sean?
Man, here we go.
What's up?
Did we get a little snort out of Sean there?
Yeah,
a little bit. All right. Played from 2010 to 2020 with Texas, Seattle, Toronto, Brewers, and Giants. One-time All-Star, 196 home runs, 229 batting average, and first base. Who is this?
Go back one more.
Texas, Seattle.
Most of his career, you'd probably remember in Seattle and Toronto.
Smoke?
Justin
Yes.
Smoke. Right. Yeah, I
Yes.
was just thinking the same. Yeah, Justin
I'm like,
Smoke.
I can picture him. I cannot
Yeah.
think of his name. Smoke.
Yeah.
Yep. Justin Smoke. Nice. Okay. Played from 99 to 2012 with Arizona, the Phillies, Rangers, Dodgers, and Boston.
Ooh.
One-time All-Star with the Phillies, 108 career wins, and he's a pitcher. Who is this?
Oh, it's a P.
It is.
Oh, I
Go
can hit
back.
the little hair that curled out the back.
Mm-hmm.
The short arm delivery. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm. You're like, oh.
Oh, come on.
This
I
is.
can't, he said it starts with a P, and I'm seeing that like I can't get Jake Peavy out of my head. I know it's not Jake Peavy, but I
No,
can't get Jake
he's like
Peavy out of my head.
Venezuelan. I can't think of his name.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
in life
You
now.
are all around it, Harrison.
Oh,
This is Vicente Padilla.
damn
Yeah.
it. Padilla. I like, oh my, I remember him. He had the
Yeah.
little short arm delivery and
Yeah.
oh man, that one hurts. I knew it.
hmm
I knew it.
Played from 2001 to 2009 with Boston, Arizona, Tampa, Detroit, and the Mets. -1 WAR, 40 wins, 53 losses, 5.45 ERA, and he's a pitcher. Who is this?
Casey Fossum.
It is 100%
Wow.
Casey Fossum.
I used to love watching him pitch. The dude threw 93 and he looked like he was 12 years old.
Yeah, with a goatee.
I swear to God, every time we went to Fenway Park, it was supposed to be Pedro and we get Fossum. It
Right.
never failed.
Yeah.
It never failed.
Okay, this is the last one I have for Blurred Pictures tonight. Played from 2010 to 2015 with the Cardinals and the Red Sox. One-time All-Star, 59 home runs, 276 batting average, right field and first base. Who is this?
Oh, Alan Craig.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
He was
I
with
I
Red
forgot
Sox
he
for
had
like a
that
minute.
stint in Boston. Yeah, I forgot
Yeah.
he had that little stint there.
And didn't he play like 3 games, like get hurt? We never saw him again.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Whew,
So,
that was rough.
The dude hit in St. Louis, then he came to Boston and just poof, disappeared.
yeah. Okay. So I do
The Padilla one is
have.
still pissing me off right now.
You're welcome. Okay. I do have a couple slides of what do these players have in common before we wrap up the show. So we will move on to that one. So what do these ones have in common? We have JD Martinez, Mookie Betts, Nolan Arenado, Josh Hader, Freddie Freeman, Mike Trout, and Garrett Cole. What do they have in common?
None of them have as much deferred money as Shohei.
Close.
All-star appearances?
Yes. Only players to have made the last 5 All-Star games.
Wow.
Josh Hader's made the last 5, huh?
Yep.
Wow.
That's hard for a
Pretty crazy.
reliever.
Right? So crazy.
That's impressive.
Yep.
So I'm like, I can't find a common thread here, so it's got to be something like All-Star game.
Yep. All right. Rafael Devers, Trey Turner, CJ Abrams, and Javi Baez.
What does Baez have in common with anybody?
You'll find out.
Can't find the strike zone.
The pictures are a clue.
Most throwing errors.
Errors.
Yeah, errors. Most errors in 2023.
Wow.
Trey Turner with 23 is a bit surprising.
It is.
Yeah. I agree.
Abrams, young shortstop, I expect. Baez is a loose cannon. And we all know Devers defensively is what he
Hands
is.
like feet.
Yeah.
He's got hands like feet.
Yeah. Okay.
I love that one.
Logan Webb, Garrett Cole, Miles Mikolas, and Zach Gallen.
Well, 3 of them had good seasons. One of them did not. Strikeouts?
Nope.
Walks? No.
Nope.
Cole's walk many people.
Home runs.
Nope.
They all throw nasty sinkers. No, Cole doesn't.
It has to do with duration.
Most
I
innings
guess.
per start?
Most innings pitched in
innings pitched,
2023.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow,
So-
Mikolas pitched over 200 innings, and that's
Yeah. Well, Cardinals had no one else to pitch, so
well, no, and he was
guess-
terrible for most of the year, but
Yeah. But he was out there.
wow.
Okay. Logan Jones, Lane Thomas, Ian Happ, Alex Verdugo, Fernando Tatis, and Teoscar Hernandez.
Defensive run saved.
You're really close.
Outfield assists.
Outfield assist. Yes. Nolan Jones had
Wow,
19.
That's a lot.
Oh,
Lane
yeah.
Thomas had 18, and then it
I
drops
know.
off to 12.
Then it falls off fast.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Wow.
And that's all I had for this week.
Jeez, I did not bring my A game this week, boys.
You know,
Holy moly.
it's all good.
Nick keeps making them harder and harder, man. It is. Oof.
Yeah.
I was giving him a hard time last week. I'm like, what's with all these one-time All-Star appearance things? Like, and this week
It's
it was,
like he, like,
how about 3
he's
guys
like,
with
oh.
negative WARs that played for 4 games?
yeah, negative wars. Like, how am I supposed to remember a negative war guy?
Well,
I love it.
Cesar Crespo.
Yeah. I feel like the problem is, Sean, we came out of the gate and we like swept the first week. Or I swept the
he got
first week,
mad.
then you and I
He got
swept the
mad.
next week, and then he's like, you know what?
He got
Forget
mad.
you guys. I'm going to destroy
Yeah, he
you.
got mad.
Yeah.
I almost put in JP Arancibia this week. But
Oh man,
you're welcome.
that's a
All
great
right.
baseball name.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to head home and kind of wrap up this week's news and stuff. Unfortunately, Red Sox Nation today got news that Jimmy Williams had passed away. He was the manager for the Red Sox there for a few years. Came over from the Astros, right? He was a bench coach, or was he the manager with Houston before he came to the Red Sox?
I think he was a manager. Although he might be right. He may have only been a bench coach.
I remember he was with Houston, and then he kind of came over to the Red Sox there.
Yeah, he was a
while,
manager
but-
for the Blue Jays, Red Sox, and Astros.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or maybe he went there after. It was something like that. But so just unfortunate news for the baseball world there.
And he was well regarded around baseball as one of the
Yeah.
better instructors.
Yeah.
Kind of like a Ron Washington type, like a guy who was on the field with the players, like working on stuff all the time, like kind of a baseball rat.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And then the last thing I have is let's get into the Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, Cody Bellinger, Matt Chapman, Jorge Soler, top 5 free agents, still haven't signed. What in the heck is going on? Now, I have a couple things here. I think the market is kind of all messed up, right? Because the teams, we talked about it a little bit last week with the teams kind of going bullpen heavy because you only need starters to get to the 5th, and then bullpen comes in and slams the door. So you're not going to pay top of the line dollars to these guys that only go 5 innings every 5th day. Like, I get that.
Yep.
Now these teams are coming out and paying their top prospects top dollar before they even step foot on a major league field. Jackson Chourio signed. Was it the Brewers? No, that was for the Brewers. And then who just signed?
The Tigers just signed Colt
Tigers.
Keith.
That's right.
Yep.
So they're signing these big prospects to, big extensions before they even step foot.
Well, the Rays did it with Wander Franco. I know we don't talk about him anymore, but they did it with Wander Franco after 1 year.
Right. But at least he played in the majors for a year and then got the extension.
You saw him.
Right. So the way they're, I think, allotting the money to these younger guys, like, are they just building their teams for the future and not really wanting to spend top dollar on these proven guys? Like, is it the structure of the game, or is it a combination of all of it?
I think it's a
I don't
combination
know.
of all of it. But go,
probably,
Sean.
right? I mean, I don't know. I wonder if some of this too, when you I don't know, because baseball is weird, right? Like it's weird with these young guys when it comes to like years of team control. Like you don't have to give these guys huge tickets now. Like when they're so young, you don't have to do that. There's no need. It's not like it locks them up and it's like, okay, now like we can exhale. Like this guy's now part of the Tigers for the next 6 years. Like that was the case anyways.
Yeah, right.
Like unless you traded him, like you drafted him, you signed him international, whatever, and then he signs, and now you have those years of team control. So I'm not really sure. I'm not going to pretend to understand all of it. Like those guys are way smarter than I am that go through it all. But I don't know. Like when it comes to the big pitchers, like the starting pitchers, I get it. Like the game's changing. Starters are going 5-6 innings max, and then you're turning it over to your, all-star cast that's in the bullpen. But starting pitching still matters when it comes to playoff time. Like starting pitching absolutely still matters in postseason time. And when it comes to not cutting time in September and October, like you need those guys. And that's what you pay them for.
Yeah.
Like that's what the big tickets are for. The big tickets aren't for you to throw 8 innings every 5 days in May and June.
Right.
It's for the postseason time. And agents and players, I think, understand that. And I just think that the guys like the Montgomerys and the Snells, they're just going to wait it out. Like, because someone will give it to them. It might be a little bit less than what they're looking for today on January 29th, but they're still going to get their money. They're still going to get their ticket. And they want to go, I'm sure, a guy like Jordan Montgomery, after what he just went through last year, Blake Snell, like they want to go to teams that not only are going to pay them, but that are going to make deep postseason runs.
Yeah.
So I think they'll come. Like I wouldn't be too worried. It's just we're 2 weeks away.
Right.
Pitchers and catchers. I mean, it's kind of we're coming up on it. So, I think we'll probably end up seeing some movement. As far as like the young guys, I have no idea. I'm sure there's a reason for it. I'm sure there's also analytics behind it. I don't fully understand it.
I'm wondering if those big contract extensions are to protect them from trades, from like teams coming in and being like, we'll take that prospect if you want Juan Soto. You know what I mean? I wonder if that's a way for them to kind of protect them from a team coming in and asking for a trade. That's like really kind of it's kind of the only thing I can really think of.
Yeah, I guess, but to me, it's like you want, like once you get you want teams to call, because once you have them on the line, and then what they want, like now you have leverage. Right now, it's like, okay, well, we're not going to give you XYZ guy, but we clearly know you're interested in that kind of player. We'll give you ABC guy. Like now they're on the phone. Now let's talk. I don't know. It doesn't really make any sense to me. Like I said, these guys are a whole lot smarter than I am. I'm sure there's a reason for it, but it's a little bizarre. Yeah. The way that it's kind of been happening the last few years.
Agreed.
Well, and I do think that, so take a guy like Blake Snell, who's 31 years old. He's on the wrong side of 30 for a pitcher. He's got 8 seasons on that arm, and he's asking for 9 years, $270 million, based on reports that came out today. He told the Yankees 9 years, $270. The Yankees went, nope, we'll offer you I think they offered him 5 years, $150. That's as far as we're going to go. And he's like, nope, won't do it. But a 9-year contract to a pitcher? I mean, Xander Bogaerts gets an 11-year contract. Okay, he's a shortstop who can become a second baseman, who can become a third baseman, who can become a first baseman, who can become a DH. Like he can age on the field. A starting pitcher at 40 years old, there's not a lot of Bartolo Colons out there. So Snell and Montgomery are both 31. Mm-hmm. They're on the wrong side of 30 to get a big contract. These guys are looking at probably a 4 or 5 year deal because most pitchers, by the time they're 35, they're done. Those arms are toast. The velocity's down. They're not the same guy anymore. They're not going to pay the same amount of money for that. So I think Snell and Montgomery are in the wrong time frame to negotiate that big deal. They're too late. And they're going to have to settle for a 4 or 5 year deal that maybe gets them the average annual value they want, but they're not going to get 9 years. Nobody's committing 9 years to a pitcher who's 31 years old. That would be insane. If you're 27, 28, get you to 30, year 36, 37. that would make sense. What he's asking for is unrealistic. And that's the general consensus around baseball, is that he's asking for a contract that's unrealistic. Nobody's offering it. The Yankees, the only team apparently to have made him an offer. He turned it down because it was way off from what he wanted, like $120 million off. And apparently he's content to wait it out. But I don't, except for those guys that are the elite of the elite, and maybe Snell's in that category. I'm not a guy that pitches 5 1/3 innings to me is not the elite of the elite. Unless you're in that category, kind of like running backs in the NFL, you're just going to pile bodies in there and find somebody who can give you 5 innings. This, with the way the bullpens are set up these days, these pitchers are 5-6 inning guys.
Yep.
You're going twice through the lineup, and that's it. And then you got power arms coming out of the bullpen that blow everybody away after that. So if you can get 1 or 2 consistent kind of solid guys and then a few other guys that can give you 5 innings and not completely get torched, you're going to be okay with that. And I think that's what teams are moving towards. Unless you're in the elite of the elite, you're not getting that kind of a deal. And I don't think Snell is considered to be in that company. Yes, he won a Cy Young, but he's not in that elite category. Montgomery's not in that elite category. These guys are very good. They're not Garrett Cole, so they're not going to get Garrett Cole money. And unless Blake Snell's going to settle, he's going to be sitting there for a while because what he's asking for, nobody's going to give him.
He'll settle.
He's going to have to. He wants to get paid, and he's got to go pitch.
They'll come back.
Yeah.
I have no problem. I have no problem with the way they're doing it.
No.
By the way.
No.
Like,
go
if
for
you
it.
think you're worth it, go see if someone will pay it.
Yeah, good for you. You should.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then you leak it out that I'm content to wait. And then you see if a team gives in and caves. But he'll have to come back and settle back in a little bit.
Yep.
And he will. They both will.
Yeah.
And you know these guys are at some pitching,
Well,
facility.
they're getting their work in.
Yeah, they're getting their work in with high level
in.
coaches. They're getting their work in. They're going to be ready. Whether they show up to spring training in 12 days or in 30 days, they're going to be ready to go. But it's just a matter of how long you want to play that game of chicken and try to get the contract you desire when it probably isn't out there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, like, if a team does come down, say the Blue Jays are like, all right, we'll give you the we'll offer you the 5 and 150. Do you want it? Like, does he just hop on it, the first team that does that, or does he wait it out? Or does he just go back to the Yankees and be like, all right, fine, I'll take the 5 and 150? Like, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
But I look at it. So look at a guy like Greg Maddux. Over the course of his career, he averaged almost 230 innings a season. Average. That includes innings. That includes seasons that he was maybe injured for a while. He averaged 230 innings per season. Last year, our best was 216.
Yeah.
Like, pitchers just don't go deep anymore. They're not expected to go deep anymore. They're 5 or 6 inning guys, and they're going to be treated and paid accordingly.
Yeah.
Blake Snell had the lowest innings per start of any Cy Young winner ever at 5 1/3. That's where we're at. The starting pitcher has been devalued because the bullpen is so stockpiled with guys that throw 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And teams just aren't going to sign up to give up those kind of contracts.
No.
A couple extra wins isn't worth $15 million more per year. Just isn't.
Yeah. And like you said, there isn't Garrett Cole's out on the market. Like,
no.
They're not fighting over. Shohei Ohtani's gone. Like, no one's fighting over them.
And he's less reliable than the other guys because,
right.
I mean, great stuff, but he's not out there enough.
Yeah, the game's just changed, and the pitching market has to change because the game's changed.
It has.
So.
We are in an era of relievers, of power arms out of the bullpen. That's where the game has gone. It is now it's a 5-inning slugfest, and then the bullpens come in and shut it down.
Yep. We touched on Bellinger already. The Matt Chapman, we kind of haven't heard anything.
Nothing
about him. It has been crickets. The last thing I heard was the Giants were pretty much the front runners there. But it just seems like teams are just filling in spots and they're just leaving these guys out there.
Yeah. As of yesterday, Chapman is San Francisco's top priority and they continue to talk to him. Apparently the Cubs have called on him, but there's really nothing else going on around him. And there's been some interesting articles that have come out lately, the last day or two, kind of ripping the players union because you've got a lot of players that are out. You got a lot of top tier players or I say, kind of in the upper echelon of players that aren't signed and are getting no offers.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of question on the players, and you're like, what's going on, guys? Like, why are these clearly better than most players getting zero attention? Like, what's happening?
Right. And it's not like the Bryce Harper situation where he was just holding out to the last possible minute to see the top offers. Like, everybody was bidding on Bryce Harper, and he was just waiting until the final bid could be placed and then made his decision.
Yeah, he's pushing the price up by waiting.
Right. It's a little bit different with these guys. It's like they're not even getting offered anything. So it's just a lot different than what we've seen before.
To go back to Snell right now, the only offer he's received was 6 years, $150 from the Yankees. He wants 9 at $270.
They're miles apart. That's not even close.
Yeah, and he flat out just said no counter offer. They moved on. But that's the only offer Snell has received.
Man, oh man.
So he wants $30 million a year.
He wants $30 million a year for 9 years.
At 5 innings a start every 5th day.
One offer in hand, 6 years at 150.
I don't know, man. $30 million a year. I mean, you start getting into that now. It's like you better. I mean, typically for a good starting pitching, it's what, like 1.5, 2 mil per win, like for those upper echelon guys. Like you better get me 20 wins.
Yeah. Right.
Not the team wins 20 games that you start. Like you get me 20 wins.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Like that's a lot to ask for a guy that goes twice through the order.
Right.
That's unrealistic. That's unrealistic.
Well, and to give you an example, so Garrett Cole, he was 9 years, $324. That's $36 million a season. But he has been absolutely dominant every single outing, even when the team wasn't good. Was scuffling.
I mean,
and he gives you 200 plus innings.
Right.
But he gives you 200 plus innings.
Right.
So,
man.
I mean,
and then,
yeah, but he's a unicorn. But Garrett Cole's a unicorn. And like that's what we were saying earlier. Those guys don't just walk into your clubhouse.
Right. He's not a unicorn. He doesn't hit. So, but I know what you're saying.
You know
but
what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, exactly. Like there's one Garrett Cole out there. There's nobody else that's Garrett Cole.
What's interesting is that at the end of the 2024 season, Cole has his first opt-out available. Which he'd be insane to exercise because he won't get $36 million a season again. That market is gone.
Yeah, agree.
But
and then the other like sort of top name is Jorge Soler. I mean, he's he's a power bat, but I wouldn't put him in like the upper echelon of free agents. But he's still a good talent, and a great bat to have out there. And he'd be a nice bat for a team that needs a thumper. But he's not necessarily going to come in and change your lineup.
No, he's a great guy to have for a team that's really good.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good way to put it.
Right, like a team that's like a really good team. He's great on a really good team.
Yeah, that's a great way.
He fits in well on a really good team.
Yeah,
and then it's like, oh my god, this team added Soler. Like, watch out.
Yeah,
but like he goes to like Oakland, and you're like, well, what's he going to do in Oakland? What's anyone going to do in Oakland? I mean, that's probably not a good comparison, but. He's a great bat for a really good team.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
So that's all I had for this week. Do you fellas have anything to add?
No, I was going to bring up the Colt Keith contract, which I found interesting. Just continues that trend of young guys getting signed early, but otherwise, it's been pretty quiet around baseball.
Yeah, it's just odd.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying it's just been an odd off season. Like it started off with a bang with Shohei and all of that stuff, like the anticipation for him to sign, and then Yamamoto, and then it's just been like kind of like dud. Like, okay, like, and there were some big names. Like we were excited about this off season. We're like, this is going to be a crazy electric off season, and it's just been like nothing. It's so strange. I can't put my finger on why the market has done this, but other than the Dodgers, no one's spending money. That's what it's coming down to.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Interesting one for you guys to go back to Aaron Hicks for a minute. So I kind of forgot about this, but Aaron Hicks, his contract with the Yankees still runs until the 2025 season. So the Angels signed him for the major league minimum of $740. and the Yankees are paying him the remainder to get him to $9.5 million, which is what he was owed on that contract.
Wow.
So the Yankees are still
Steal.
paying Aaron Hicks to go play somewhere else.
Smooth move by the Angels, though.
You pick the guy
Get him for leave him in.
get him for $740,000. If he gives you anything, and you win, and the Yankees
Right.
are paying.
Yeah, I mean,
for
you're getting him for a tenth of the contract.
right.
Yeah. Even if you release them half, it's no skin off their back.
Cost you nothing.
No,
Nothing. Absolutely not. Crazy. All right. Anything else before we head out?
I'm good.
No, I'm good. It's hopefully we'll see some free agents sign, but indications are we won't.
Crazy. But yep, just keep your eyes on the page. We'll keep you updated if we hear anything. And we'll see you guys next Monday at 8. But before you go, please like and follow us on Facebook. You can also subscribe on YouTube. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. And like I said, we will see you next Monday at 8 p.m. sharp.